What's up, guys? Thanks for coming back, stopping by the channel. I'm going to do a little reflection about the time I worked for a fixed base operator. For those of you who don't know, that's like a contractor who kind of like has that operates like part of an airport for like general purpose aircraft and stuff like that, and private jets and whatnot. Anyway, so after I went rogue in late summer of 21, I landed myself, no pun intended, working at an airport as a line service technician. Line service technician, kind of job description, pretty much fuel aircraft, jets and piston props. So you can operate a fuel truck. You'll marshal in aircraft, marshal out aircraft. For those of you who don't know, marshaling kind of just means directing traffic, using hand signals, stuff like that. Technically, I was supposed to do lab service too, but I made it my entire little tenure there without having to do one lab, at least by myself. Anyway, it was actually a pretty cool job. I really liked driving the heavy trucks, which the Jet A truck, it had a 5,000 gallon capacity. It was an international something or other, had a straight six, air brakes. I love air brakes. It had an automatic transmission, which it would have been a lot cooler if it didn't, and it had a manual transmission. But I guess for the application, I guess it doesn't make that much sense, because you're really only going 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour tops. But anyway, so I really enjoyed that. It took its toll on me physically. A lot of unfamiliar like movement patterns, and I got into some bad biomechanics that kind of stuck with me and led me to progressively hurt more and more. I spent a lot of time. They were short-staffed. Were having a hard time holding on to people, but I spent a lot of my time behind the wheel of that fuel truck. Most of my shift. It was diligent work. Excuse me. But it was very easy to let your mind wander, and that can be kind of a bad thing. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it was pretty good. So after about 2 weeks, one of the fellas, he resigned to go work somewhere else. So I acquired his shift, which is an absolute terrible shift. I was still on the day shift, but his days off were Tuesday and Wednesday. And I was hired on to have off on Sunday and Monday, I had no problem with that. But I agreed to picking up, his name was, we'll call him Paul. That may or may not be his real name. So I picked up his Tuesday, Wednesday off schedule. And yeah, that really sucked. especially given my living situation and stuff like that. Maybe we'll get into that another day. So that really messed me up. So then I worked all weekend, kind of really threw me off kilter, and then having off those 2 days. Anyway, we're not going to get bogged down on that. So that was all well and good. I got along pretty well with everyone there. I actually wound up, the people I didn't like initially when I started working there actually wound up, being the coolest people to work with, and vice versa. The people I thought that would be enjoyable to work with turned out to be major drags. We're getting to that. All right, so my supervisor on the first shift, I guess he had enough. So he resigned to go work for the airport authority. And once he put his 2 weeks notice in, like, he didn't give two rat's asses about pretty much anything. This guy was really experienced. He knew what he was doing. He's been working in the aviation field for a really long time. But anyway, so when he left, they bumped up the night shift supervisor to be the day shift supervisor. And that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of the end right there. This guy, because usually, like, I'd spend like 1 hour of our shifts would overlap, and the guy was kind of a drag, and all he did was complain. And then everyone complained about him. So anyway, so he became the supervisor. He's my supervisor at that, for the last couple weeks, however long that lasted. There was like you could get called into work early, which I didn't particularly like, but the previous supervisor on my shift did not abuse it, and he used it sparingly. Maybe if y'all want to know more, I can get more into the nitty gritty about how things operate at an FBO. But yeah, this guy so he would text me like an hour before I was going to bed, asking me to come in like an hour earlier in the morning, which shift started at 7. So an hour before bed, he's telling me he's asking me to be to work an hour early. Like, okay. If it was once, I'd be all right with it. But this went on. He abused it, dude. It was a couple times a week. And I may or may not have continued. I probably would have continued to work there had he not abused that authority, I guess you could call it that. Anyway, I had a little bit aggravated by airplanes for a while after that. But in hindsight, it was a cool job. I did enjoy it. Not the kind of job for everyone, but yeah, that was my experience working at an FBO in the southeastern United States. So, hope you enjoyed my little story time here. You're welcome to like if you like the stories. You're encouraged to subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time. Thanks.